Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
We all know those GLP-1 injections work wonders, but that price tag almost gave me a heart attack when my insurance denied coverage. I was staring at a choice between paying my mortgage or paying for weight loss. Talk about a rock and a hard place. Then I found Elevate Health compounded semaglutide at just $58 with payment plans that don't require a second mortgage. Same medication, same results, but a price that real folks can actually afford. Visit joinelevate.com today. That's JOINELEVATE.com. Your wallet will be as happy as your waistline. This medication is not FDA approved.
It's Sunday, October 20th, and this is Doing the Thing. I'm James Gilmore, and I'm here with Wizard Radio Station's Ananya Goyal and Astrid and Chinny from It's a Continent.
Hello.
Hey. We're going to be talking about everything happening in our worlds this week. Ananya, how are you doing?
I've been all right, yeah. It's good to be here. It's been a while.
And Astrid, how are you?
Yeah, good. I feel it's been a busy week, but I'm excited and, ready for Monday.
Amazing. And Chinny, how about you?
Starting to get cozy with the winter coming in, so yeah, I'm okay.
I'll just say I agree with that. Like, this is my season, so I'm feeling very ready for that. If you're listening live on Wizard Radio Station, where we do the thing every Sunday from 8 p.m. UK time, get involved on Instagram or Twitter at Wiz Radio. You can email station@wizardradio.com, and all of our details on our website, wizardradio.com. Now, this is, as usual, quite an international show. Ananya, can I just check? You're in India this week, aren't you?
Yes. At the moment, I'm in India.
Astrid and Chinny, you're both in London, if I'm right.
Yeah, that's right.
As am I. So we're kind of 1/4 international today. I need to ask Ananya because I'm British. So what is the weather like in India at the moment?
It's so hot for October. Like, I feel like I'm in June right now. It's so hot here.
Do you prefer?
It's insane.
Do you prefer like winter? I guess. Like the season, I don't know how the seasons line up, but do you prefer winter in India or winter in London or autumn, whatever? I think I'm calling right now winter. I know it's not technically.
Well, I think winter in India is milder, of course, than winter in London. So I always liked it because summer in India is just unbearable. You will literally melt.
Wow.
So it's always been winter for me here in India.
Yeah.
But back when I'm in London, I just die to see the sun. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I feel like if you're coming from India, I love the winter in London because that's my perfect temperature. It's like a cool, 5 degrees is just perfect. But obviously that's my normal. I was born in February, so I was that kid whereby it used to snow. Every year at my birthday party got cancelled multiple years in a row. So that's like my season. If you're coming from India, I get it. It's different. Well, let's jump into our first topic, I guess. This week saw the very sad and untimely death of Liam Payne, the pop star who became globally famous as a member of One Direction. I think it's kind of hit everybody at different times. It's been really sad news. A debate, though, has triggered in the aftermath on the treatment of people in the public eye. So I guess this is going to be the simplest question to begin with, but are we too mean to celebrities? And Chinny, I'll start with you on your opinion on this.
To be honest, you often think back to the sort of early 2000s, you have the tragedy of multiple celebrities during that time where there was just a lot going on. Like, for example, like Amy Winehouse, Jade Goody, like what they went through. But it's kind of evolved in a sense. And unfortunately, Liam Payne came up during the social media era. So then there was even more exposure to that. And if you think about it, he was just so young, because you think how long he's been in the spotlight for. And the fact that he started so early, you think, oh, wait, he was only 31? Like, because he'd been around for so long. And I think it was just easy to forget that actually he wasn't as, grown up as they'd have you believe. And that's really how, speaks to how vulnerable he was. And unfortunately, his story isn't unique. There's a lot of people that have unfortunately fallen into addiction and other sort of issues as a result of, being exposed too early to celebrity culture and not having the correct sort of safeguards in place, etc. So yeah, it's a really, really sad story. I was really shocked and saddened to hear about it.
Ananya, what do you think?
Well, I do think that when it comes to Liam Payne, One Direction in itself was huge, and these boys were so young at the time. Like, I think they were 16, 18, and 17 when they started out. And so their formative years growing up have literally been in the spotlight. And to us, it does seem like, yeah, I agree. It seems like they've been around forever because we've grown up with them. But I can't imagine if let's say, I was just thrown into the spotlight that young. You're so volatile, and it's so easy to fall into these things at that age in the industry because so much goes on. So if I were to think of if people are too mean on the internet, yes, I think considering how these boys have been so chronically put in the spotlight, and everything has been just like exposed, and people were so invested and involved, I do think that it was quite overbearing for them. Yes, people were too critical and harsh and too involved basically in their lives.
Astrid, I feel like we've heard this story, as Chinny said, as Ananya said, we've heard this story so many times before. And a lot of the issues with fame come from the public. So why do you think, in a way, like, this is an oversimplification, but why do you think we're not learning our lesson?
I think social media has made it so easy, and I think everyone has an opinion on everything. Things get shared very quickly and it gets built up. But I think even when you look back, it just goes back. We don't learn the lesson and we just sort of carry on, and it comes across as like a shock and everyone's sad, but then it still goes on. And I think it goes back to there is no control or accountability. If someone says something on the internet, that's it, it's out in the universe. But actually the impact that has on the individual who is seeing that message, I think regardless of age, I think even now, like, I don't think I could handle being famous, especially in the age of the internet, being under scrutiny and considering how young they were when they first started, the things you go through as a teenager, that being in the spotlight, there's nowhere to hide. I'm so grateful to not grow up with the internet the way it did, because there's nowhere you can run. Like, that is, it's out there, it's exposed, and it's there permanently as a constant reminder, and people will constantly, be it through memes and things like that. But I think the thing that is missing is that accountability piece. Like, we can't keep having people say certain things and not take responsibility for what you've said online, and the impact and consequences that can have are real.
I think it's so interesting. I agree with everything you've just said, Astrid. I think actually a music manager years ago was telling me that one of the biggest issues that they face is that on social media, everything in a way feels bigger than it is. If you got 6 text messages from 6 different people, just to any of us, saying anything, whether it was positive or negative, it's going to feel like the entire world is saying something to us. Because you look at your phone and 6 text messages takes up your whole phone screen. So you go on social media and it could even be 20 people, 30 people, 40 people. It feels like the entire internet, even though it isn't. So then when you get, genuinely hundreds of videos, thousands of videos, it will feel inescapable. I think another kind of sidestep on this is actually yesterday I was on Instagram and I was looking at Liam Payne's, I've forgotten her name, but his girlfriend's, who he was most recently with. Yeah. Her comment section was disgusting. And actually, I rarely do this. I never comment on Instagram. I've never really been, unless it's like emojis on somebody that I know and it's supportive, I've never felt the need to share my opinion about anything through the comment section. But I saw these comments and I thought, I'm reporting these. Like, it's disgusting. And I probably reported about 5 or 6 comments. And Instagram reviewed them really quickly. And they all failed. They were all like, nope, this doesn't break our... You literally have comments of people saying, you killed him. And all these horrific things. Death threats. And the moderators were like, this doesn't break our terms of use. So those are the rules of the game. Chinny, you're shaking your head a lot, so I'm interested in your opinion.
Yeah. No, because it's because unfortunately a lot of social media fuels anger and fuels this like vitriol and almost encourages the behavior that you described, to be honest, because the comments that you see, hateful comments, will then get more of a priority when you view in the algorithm. You don't even have to click on it, you'll just see it immediately, and then when you report it, like nothing gets done. So it's then all part of this cycle of hateful comments. It's spiraling out of control, to be honest, and unfortunately that's what we saw happen over the past week.
I will just add as well to anybody listening who might ever find themselves in this situation, most social media platforms have a very underused tool where you can block keywords. So if something's going on, you can add to your account if any comment uses certain words that the comment basically won't publish on the page. And you can put in there purposeful misspellings or people putting, you can set what those are. That can be a really useful way to stop a conversation from even beginning. But again, there isn't really the education, I think, for a lot of people. I'm interested in Ananya on what you're thinking about this conversation.
Yeah, like what you just said, I did not know about it. And so, this can just... So what I've seen happen on Instagram a lot lately is dark humor is used by so many people. I don't know, as a means of coping or what, but this cycle of people bullying other people or just saying something extremely disgusting in the name of dark humor. And it's because of that like feature on comments that other people have establish this sense of validation from how many likes their disgusting comments get. And so the algorithm then puts them on top. And it's it feels like a vicious cycle because then, as you mentioned, people give so much hate to Liam's most recent girlfriend. Like, I saw this one reel on Instagram, I think, about his girlfriend, and somebody commented, "Is this the girl who pushed him?" Whereas there even in the initial report, there was absolutely no news, nothing, no report saying that she was even in the country at the time. So people create these narratives, and I can't even imagine how it must affect the bereaved person who's already going through such a huge, major, sudden loss, and then she has to come online to see all of this. So it feels like a self-fulfilling, vicious kind of a cycle.
Do you think...
And obviously there are no rules.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, I was just saying that there are no rules moderating this.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that we need to normalize not going online? I know that doesn't solve the ultimate problem, but it can solve the immediate mental health. I imagine if you're in the public eye and you don't have people around you, why would you? If you're spiraling, why would you stop? That's not how a spiral works. But as you're speaking, I'm thinking the simplest thing to do would to try not to look. I know that's unrealistic, but Astrid, I'm interested in your opinion of, I feel like there's a culture right now of people demanding a response, demanding a reaction, and maybe we need to put an end to that.
Yeah, I think it's enabled us to be so connected that actually has also created the problem and further amplifies it, because we want the information now. We want to have our opinion kind of known and shared. And I think everyone's sort of feeling like an investigator in these spaces. I would love to see if it didn't, if we could all just walk away from it. And for me, the problem is this is just getting worse and worse. And where does it go from here? At what point does it get so big that we're like, no, we need to step away, or something different comes in? But I kind of think this is reminding me, so about when you first started and it was like, your MSN, it was just friends that you had, and then you had your Bieber. I had a couple of Pixos. So, that was my safe space, because it was just a space about you and your friends, and you're telling them about your day, even though you saw them like 2 minutes ago. But it felt safe. And even when Facebook in its first iteration was quite a safe space, but I think it's gotten so much bigger, and because we're so connected to everybody beyond our kind of immediate space, that it's made it just not a great, not the nicest of space. I don't know. I'd love to see everybody sort of turn it off and walk away, and we're all like outside and just doing other things. But I think it has helped people in that connectivity. So it's quite a difficult, I feel like it's too embedded in our lives for us to walk away from it. But the alternative, what does that look like, is difficult to see and envision. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree completely, and I think that it's crazy because I think that most people don't like the experience of being on social media. We all know, like, intellectually that it's bad for us, but also you rarely leave it feeling good. And yet, as with most addictive things, we just keep going back.
Go back.
Yeah. And it logically makes no sense at all, because if as a normal person without a platform you go on and you don't really get anything from it. I mean, the amount of times that I'm on Instagram for a second, because I go on there, it's like when you go to the fridge and there's no food, and you go back 5 minutes later and there's still no food. That's literally it. That's it. And yet
you're waiting, something will happen. Something will happen.
I think this
time,
honestly
the reason why I don't go on TikTok, because I've downloaded it, but I'm like, if I start on TikTok and commit to it, I'll never be outside.
Same.
This is me. This is me with coffee. Like, I've never drunk coffee because I'm fearful that if I start, I'll never end. I'm on TikTok though, so it's right. I can't win all the
one or the other. I think it's one or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I think you get the same sort of like adrenaline rush from both. Anyway, we are going to be right back after this. Welcome back to Doing the Thing Now. The US election is in just 3 weeks' time. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris will be vying for the votes of the US public. Now, there's a lot that needs to happen in America, but I want to discuss what we think should happen first. So the question is, you are one of those two candidates. You're winning the US presidential election in 3 weeks' time. What are you doing day one? Let's start off with Chinny.
This is an interesting one. I think that it probably be something around the lines, as we know, there's been a lot of debate around women's rights, unfortunately. It's been sliding backwards. So it would really be around ensuring that, women's rights are protected, and reproductive rights are protected from day one. And it would make, all the women feel sort of secure in any decisions they may go on to take. Um, Especially when I was sort of from the outside looking in, it is quite concerning the direction that that policy has gone in. So yeah, I would really be looking at trying to reverse anything that's sort of already happened, and just ensuring that women feel safe all across the country, not just at a state level, but at a national level as well.
I think that's such an interesting point because it's actually one of in this case, the reverse sort of Roe v. Wade is one of the most unpopular decisions on both sides. Like, it's not that it's just Democrats who are outraged, but it's a massively unpopular policy amongst Republicans as well. So I think that would be a very popular and obviously important decision. Astrid, what would you pick?
I think definitely agree on what you said, Chinny. I think for me, another aspect to look at would be around climate change and what we're doing about it. I think at the moment there's a lot of talk and things being done, but it just feels quite slow. And obviously the US, in terms of this position globally, it is seen and is sort of a powerhouse that I do think taking that ownership in terms of what is going to actively being done and making sure that, we still have an earth that exists in, 100 plus years time. I think that would definitely be, a priority. If I was going to say, if I got the job, I'd never go for that job. Never.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I think that's another great one. We have temporarily lost Ananya. She's trying to rejoin, but I'll jump in with, I don't think that my idea is the most important one, but I do think it might be a useful day one. I don't know exactly how you do this. I think it's probably somewhere around education, but basically tackling these culture war conversations, because I think they take up so much oxygen. They turn things that are actually not divisive, like, women's rights. It's actually, women having choice and, the right to decide how they live their lives is a universally popular policy. The culture wars, as they've been branded, have made things like that divisive, and it just kind of takes up all the oxygen in the room. I feel like if there was a way to create policy that put everybody on the same kind of level of education and insight, and removing some of these filter bubbles and fake news, you would then be able to do so many other things. But when you have two parties that are literally, if one party says one thing, the other immediately think it's either wrong or a lie, or they should just all go die. That wasn't meant to rhyme, but it did. Yeah, and I'm not gonna hate on that rhyme. But then you can't pass anything. I think that's kind of what we've just seen with Joe Biden for the past few years. That the US is so absorbed in culture wars that no president, regardless of which side of the bench they're on, can really achieve anything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's almost as though it sort of has been repeated in the UK as well, unfortunately. The fact that culture wars is dominating so much. And yeah, as you say, it just prevents work from actually being done. And there's no policy that's actually been done. It's just riling up people from either side, and it's just really unproductive, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think it's disappointing because it is, I think, both parties that do it. And it wasn't originally in the UK and the US. I think these both started in specific parties, but because those parties got into power and became really popular, well, if you're trying to get into power yourself, you're going to follow the playbook of what appears to be working, even if it's not healthy for society. Astrid, to go on climate change and your proposal, this might be a really depressing question to ask, but how are you feeling in terms of the likelihood of us as a global community really being able to make progress in this state. And that's to the senator on the back row, please.
I honestly don't see it happening. And I'm like the biggest optimist, and I'd love to say I just think there are too many people with their own agendas, be it both from a kind of political perspective, but also organizations, that it's not at the top of their priority. But I do think it will take until something, because at the moment we have pockets of things happening, in different, especially from an environmental perspective, in different spaces. Here, we're getting kind of, even now it's quite warm and things like that. So we're noticing it, but I think it will take something bigger for us to really realize, right, we need to do something. And because, of some sort of catastrophe, I think that's what it'll take to bring it about change, which is really sad. I'd like to think that something will be done now, but honestly, I don't see anything truly happen. Sounds so dark and depressing.
No,
I honestly genuinely don't think anything will happen until because when you look at kind of Just Stop Oil and sort of the way in which they're perceived and sort of represented in the media, that kind of thing, I think it's just viewed quite negatively.
I completely agree. Although the one bit I do disagree on, which is only going to add more doom and gloom to this conversation, is that it's going to take one big catastrophe, because there are humongous catastrophes like every month or sometimes every week. I mean, the fact that Florida and the East Coast right now has huge hurricanes in late October is an effect of climate change. But because I think weather is and climate is so scientific and mathematical that in a way it's invisible. We see rain and tornadoes and hurricanes and things like that, but it's so deniable, the sources of them. These politicians can make whatever narrative they want. I think that's one of the reasons it's so hard. Ananya has rejoined us, and Ananya, we're talking about what we would do on day one if we were the president of the United States. We've had some fantastic suggestions. Chinny and Astrid have come forward. Chinny was talking about women's rights and reversing the reversal of Roe v. Wade. Astrid talking about climate change policy. I mentioned about trying to kind of eradicate the culture war so that we could pass policy. But Ananya, what would you do on day one?
I think I was going to speak about women's rights as well, because I was reading up on the right to abort, and I mean the fact that women would have to travel state lines to get the basic care and to be able to abort. I believe that it should be a fundamental right, and I'm completely pro-choice. But I know that Roe v. Wade was overturned, so I think that's what I would do on the first day as well. Plus, healthcare and access to healthcare in the US, from what I know, is less than ideal. So that is also something I would work on.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I'm going to take this conversation on a slight left turn. I think at the heart of a lot of the debates in the States at the moment is this idea that America is losing its power internationally. And that, you have countries like China, for example, that are gaining, becoming superpowers in their own right, when for decades it really has been a world run by America. Do you agree with this? And I think importantly, are we seeing culturally a shift away from the US's cultural power? Chinny, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think to be honest, it's a little bit like how Britain's power's quite dwindled over time. I mean, it's probably due to the rise of, we've had like BRICS, like other countries that feel that actually it's our time to shine. China's come up, and And I think the main reason for why, I know it's kind of almost bringing it back to social media in a sense, but America's soft power was because of social media and how they owned like all these things like Facebook, Instagram, etc. But China owned TikTok and everyone looks on TikTok. So that kind of goes to show like some of the rise of the soft power that we see in China as well. So I know, whilst all the news outlets are still talking about the president, just because, the presidential race, because, they are still seen as the leader of the free world, it would be interesting to actually see if that's still a perception with other countries. But I think it's definitely starting to fade a bit.
Astrid, what do you think about this? I'm also interested because obviously Astrid and Chinny, you both host It's a Continent, where you think other superpowers might emerge from in the future, and if we are going to be seeing African superpowers in the future like we've seen historically. About Astrid, what do you think?
I think definitely the power and influence that the US has had for forever, essentially, is dwindling and has changed. And I definitely think the rise of China, and because the world is much more slow and much more connected and we're traveling more, I think that has influenced sort of who has a role, and the investment China is making across the world is also playing a role within that. I think it'll definitely be interesting to see which African nations will come up. There's a lot of, I think, influence from the likes of kind of Nigeria, Ghana. So I definitely think there are opportunities there and it will evolve. For me, I feel like the US will always exist and have some sort of power and influence, but whether the likes of China reaches that, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we get to that point, but I definitely think it has a seat at the table and is taking up space.
Now, Ananya, obviously your perspective's slightly different. Am I right to think you were born and grew up in India? I know for me, like growing up in the UK, massively influenced by US export. Like most of what I watched on TV was Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, and music was from America. What was it like for you? Like, do you feel as influenced by the States as we will?
So, a brilliant example of this is as a child, I used to think anything outside of India was the US. And it is when I grew up a little bit that I realized, oh, there are actually a lot many different countries and cultures. But that is just to kind of show how big of an impact the US has had on people all over. And even for me, my entire childhood, the exposure to Western culture that I've had entirely, be it music, TV shows, and movies, has been from the US. So I do think that in India, it's had a huge, huge impact. Although our practices and our culture is heavily influenced by the British, but when it comes to things like entertainment and literature, a lot of literature, in fact, when it came to young adult novels, for me throughout my childhood, it was all from the US. So I do think that it has had a heavy impact. And currently, even cultures through social media, TikTok trends, be it Twitter, it's also heavily coming from the US still. That I do think it does hold its strong impact in that way.
It's so interesting because like British culture and American culture are so similar and intertwined. There's corners of culture that are uniquely British. They tend to not be things that we're the proudest of, even if it's just trends that come out of the UK on TikTok nowadays. Don't always show our country off in the best light. But India is so much richer with its own kind of unique culture that it's interesting that because of social media, as you said, Ananya, like the Western and particularly US culture still having such an influence on what's happening and what young people are consuming. Right, we are running out of time, so I'm going to ask like the worst question ever for everybody to answer. It is obviously a very tight race. I'm actually in New York all of next week. I've got to wake up at 4:30 tomorrow morning, so I'm sure I'll get a sense of this on the ground. It's a tight race, but who do we think, not who do we hope, but because I think we can probably guess that.
That's a very different question.
Very different question. Who do we think is going to win? And I'll go first just to set the tone. I actually think it will be Kamala Harris. I personally don't think any outcome is necessarily good in the immediate term, because either Trump's president and that's going to cause a lot, or Kamala Harris is president, and we don't have to remember what happened last time Trump lost an election to know what the potential response can be. So I think it's going to be nerve-wracking either way. But I do think that the fact that it is so close is a really good sign, and it is kind of new in this race. But we'll go again just in order of what's on my screen. So Chinny, who do you think will win?
I hope. I know it's not the right question. Everything is pointed in the right direction. I'm just nervous it might be a repeat of what happened in 2016 with Hillary Clinton, because whilst all, everything pop culture related was pointing towards Hillary, it seemed as though Hillary was going to win, but the cynic in me is like, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to say it. I just, I'll just leave it as I don't know.
Fair enough. Astrid, what about you?
I'm with you, James. I think I think she's got it. I definitely think she's got it. I guess maybe there's a part of me who would love to see a woman take the position. So there is that part of me. And I do think she's had so little time for people to kind of get that buy-in and everything like that. But what she's achieved within that time has been incredible. So I feel like that's definitely contributed towards kind of where she is. So I do hope it's just that final push that she can do it through. But I think she can do it. I don't see why not. I think some people have opened their eyes in terms of Trump over the last couple of years, that I hope that it's, she's done enough.
I mean, she has gotten a lot of Republican supporters as well, which I think is important. Ananya, I'm going to ask you in one sec. I just also want to say, Astrid, off the back of your prediction, if that is the case, it goes to show that you can only run a presidential election for 4 months and win, which would stop this mad
this long
of 2
we don't
year
need the long
campaign.
lead time.
We don't need
yeah. Ananya, what do you think?
My response is kind of a mixed one, because it's so close. So, I just see her winning. It feels like it's right there. But I agree with Chinny on when she said that you're so scared. Like the cynic in you says, what if it's a repeat of 2016? So I'm actually really scared that might happen, as much as I do think it's strong and she might win. Sometimes people end up voting for Donald Trump for whatever reason that they do.
Well, in a few weeks' time, we'll be having a special Doing the Thing presidential election show after the results known. We'll be playing this clip, either to show how we had no reason to be nervous and, wow, 2 of us were really on the ball, or to be very embarrassed. But we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Doing the Thing. Now, the festive season is nearly here. I can't be saying that soon enough, personally. It's my favourite time of the year. And one of the big headlines of festive season this year, as has been the past few years, obviously the massive blockbuster film releases, and possibly the most anticipated film of 2024, the Barbie of 2024, as I'm calling it, is the Wicked movie. It's been about nearly 20 years in the making, obviously starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Let's take a litmus test of just how excited or not people are feeling on this episode of Doing the Thing. Chinny, where are we at in terms of excitement and anticipation?
Relatively excited to get me in the mood for Christmas. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm moderate. Yeah.
That's not excited enough. Ananya, what about you?
I'm actually really excited because I think it's a great on-screen pairing. I've been looking forward to this.
Correct answer. I'll just on the on-screen on the on-screen pairing, I will say it's actually really refreshing to see 2 co-leads who seem to genuinely like each other. If we remember the Don't Worry Darling, Harry Styles, Florence Pugh drama of like last year or 2 years ago. I mean, it fed the internet.
Chinny is
for
out
weeks.
here for the drama. She's like, big get on.
I love drama.
But it is kind of hard. Like, I only watched that film for the first time a few weeks ago, and all I could think is like, you guys don't even like each other, I don't think. So how can I believe this dynamic? All right, Astrid, where are we on the excitement scale? Are we going to be going to the cinema wearing green or pink?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I am. I'm one of those. I get dressed up.
I love that.
So I'm really looking forward to it, especially because I think it's been talked about for so long. I literally was like, how is this still not out? Like the promo and lead up to it. So I think it'll do really, really well. Keeping up to date with it. So no, I'm looking forward to it.
Now, there's been a big debate over the past year or so about musical films in particular. Obviously, the second Joker film has just come out, has done really badly. It was a kind of like surprise musical. Mean Girls, the musical, the movie, was not a good film, full stop. But I made the mistake of actually seeing that one in a cinema, and as bad as it was at home, it's worse on the big screen. But that they kind of hid from being a musical as well. Even last year, my favourite film of 2023, that was last year, I was just checking. My favourite film of 2023, Timothée Chalamet's Wonka, they didn't advertise as being a musical. So do you think
it was a musical as well?
Yeah.
I'm not liking these hidden musicals. I've got to be prepared that there's going to be singing, because I didn't realize this about the new Joker film. And then my friend went to see it and she was like, yeah, there was a lot of singing. I'm like, what do you mean there was singing?
Why are we singing about?
Yeah, I was
sing
like,
about?
the first
Exactly.
Joker was so good. I was like, the second one is going to be, as soon as she mentioned that it was going to be singing, I was like, no, it doesn't make sense. I can't put myself through that. No.
Yeah. Well, I think that is also, I think like the quality of songs. So I loved the Wonka film, but it was a musical, but the songs weren't that good. Like, they weren't memorable. Whereas I hope Wicked kind of like turns the tide, because the songs in Wicked are so good that this show's been running for 20 years. So do you think, like, Ananya, what do you think? Do you think this might turn the tide? Finally, people will be okay with going to the cinema and seeing a musical?
I think because Wicked is such an established, like, we know what to expect from it as a musical, that it just might do it, because a Joker should not be a musical, just because why is Harley Quinn singing after seeing Batman? So, and because Wicked brings that context, I do think that it's going to do well and it's going to hold up to expectations. That's the hope for me.
Do you think, Ananya, that if this film's not good, like, it would destroy my whole belief in cinema? I don't know what I would see again. Like, if this film is bad, then what could ever be good?
Yeah, I think then I just, give up on musicals, because I do have that expectation that they have cast a full-fledged good singer. It's a whole build-up. So, if this turns out to be bad, then I'm just going to lay off from watching things for a while.
Well,
unless it becomes one of those whereby they've made the investment and they've brought us all into this big, like, yeah, it's going to be amazing. We've got Ariana Grande. You show up and it's just like, wow, okay. Right.
Well, actually, to be fair, I saw Madam Web. I heard terrible reviews. People were like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. So I went and I paid for a cinema ticket just to laugh in the cinema. And it's like one of the most cathartic experiences of the year.
It's like a hate watch.
Yeah. It was so... And I was willing to spend £10 to go down to the cinema and see it. Well, if it helps give us any confidence, we are doing something, I can't say what it is yet, but with the Wicked film next month. And I got an email on Friday from somebody from the film studio who literally wrote the words, this film will be the cultural phenomenon of 2024. That's how they are walking into this film.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
That's
I've
a lot
not
of confidence.
There's a lot of confidence, and it's almost, I hope it's not misled, but this person has seen the film. I obviously haven't, so I'm going to trust that it is as good. I was going to say they have no reason to lie to me. They have all the reason to lie to me, but I just fingers crossed on that. Chinny, I mean, do you have any parting thoughts for us before we wrap up the show on Wicked?
I mean, because of the dramatics beforehand, I'm here for the drama. You know, we have the dimple gates, you know, the hand placement has shifted. We've got, you know, why is Cynthia's face covered? We don't know. You know, should it actually be up? Should it be down? So if this is already happening before we've even seen the film, then you know me, I'm going to be seated. So I'm here for it.
I'm interested, Astrid, you're obviously excited about this film. Notoriously, one of the conversations around Wicked is that it's a 2-part film, something else they haven't really advertised. And part 1, which is the musical up until the interval, is nearly as long as the entirety of Wicked in the theatre. So do you, like, it's like 2.5 hours, the first film, for a just under 3-hour musical. So one thing that makes me nervous about this film is, like, what is in there that I've not seen before? Am I going to like that or dislike it? How are you feeling about this added time?
I'm still quite excited. I feel like they've thought it through. For me, it's like, let's just remain on the side of optimism with this, because the way in which they have marketed it and put it across, I think it'll do well. But then sometimes though, if it is long and you're just sat there and you're like, you guys could have cut this way back. We're just filling air right now. So now you have me worried, just slightly. Sorry. No, we're excited. It's going to be amazing. Ananya, any final thoughts on Wicked?
This comes to my head as soon as I think about Wicked. Did you guys see the thing with the AI poster and Cynthia got so mad about it?
Yeah.
Ooh, so that kind of adds to the drama and build up for me about the entire thing. And I mean, I do agree. I've never seen anybody so outrightly react to something like, which is supposed to be a meme or AI generated. And so when she actually did it, it was like, okay, wow, these guys are seeing these things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that kind of brings it all full circle to what we were talking about earlier as well. I will just put one finishing point on this, which is, I know this film is good because it is directed by the man who directed, amongst many things, Never Say Never, the Justin Bieber film. And that was a work of art. So if he can do that, I mean, he did Crazy Rich Asians as well, but we're focusing on Never Say Never. Then we're good. We're in safe hands. Well, that is all we've got time for on Doing the Thing today. Thank you so much, Ananya, Astrid and Chinny. Let's start off, Astrid and Chinny. Where can our listeners find you and It's a Continent?
Yeah, well, you can find It's a Continent on all podcast platforms. And you can also find us on Instagram, It's a Continent Pod, and on Twitter or X, It's a Continent. And we have a website, it'sacontinent.com.
Amazing. And Ananya, where can our listeners find you every week?
So I'm live on ZARD Radio every Saturday at 1 p.m. So you can just tune in then.
Amazing. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to catch new episodes of Doing the Thing live on Wizard Radio Station every Sunday from 8 p.m. UK time and on all podcast platforms from Monday morning. We'll see you next week.